Welcome, everyone, to our session this morning. We are going to hear from Manny Nagutu on Insight Security Operations, strategies to reduce mean time to containment. Manny.
Very good morning to everybody. How is everyone doing on this very first day of the conference? All good? Cool. My name is Mani. I'm a field CISO at SentinelOne. So I work on competitive intelligence as well as thought leadership at SentinelOne. And before SentinelOne, I worked as a security practitioner dealing with security operations as well as security program for a renewable energy company. So the session is broken down into two parts. The first part is talking about the general challenges that are faced by SOC teams. And the second part is how AI and automation is going to help the SOC teams. So starting with the red graph that you're seeing, these are the threats. And threats have been discussed over and over in cybersecurity. This is not new. And every day there's news piece covering the threats across the world. So most recently, you have AI-powered malware, basically focusing attacks or targeting organizations with it. One such example is Black Mamba, which is an AI-powered malware. Our SentinelOne Labs has written a great blog on this. Please do check out if you are interested. So now we're also talking about resourcing, right, in security teams, SOC teams, because we always operate under constraints. We have budget constraints, we have resource constraints to work with. So this is kind of creating a threat efficiency gap, which is the reason why we have more attacks than people can secure their organizations. Now, as part of my role at SentinelOne, I also got a chance to, I get a chance to work with security leaders in understanding their challenges, as well as being a security practitioner myself before. There are certain challenges that are faced by customers. This includes rapidly attacking attack surfaces. And as most recently discussed from the last 18 months or 12 months, there have been a lot of discussions about AI. So AI-powered malware, AI-powered botnets. You also have prompt injection attacks across LLMs. You also have data poisoning for LLMs and complex multi-vendor stacks. So without understanding how a particular tool fits in your environment and bringing that into your environment creates more avenues for threat actors to attack. And triage and investigation, I'm going to talk about this more in detail in the next presentation. So decluttered data, as well as having data in silos, have created more avenues for attack vectors to attack organizations. Now, coming to cybersecurity skill shortage, this is the most discussed topic in the recent times. And mostly, I have seen people speaking about IT skill shortage, but I also want to mention about OT skill shortage, particularly organizations which are having operational technology. There is a scarce level of OT professionals who are skilled at having defenses in place for the organization. This all places organizations in a reactive state than a proactive state. In the past, it was all about castle and moat approach. You have your perimeter defined and you have your perimeter secured. But now it's more about work from home, digital transformation, complexity, and legacy infrastructure still in place. So this has placed organizations in a more dire situation than ever before. Now, according to ESG study, there are almost like 25 to 49 tools, independent tools from 10 plus vendors in the recent times, which kind of creates complexity for security teams to manage and operate. And it is also projected that for some of the security teams, it's more than 70 plus independent tools in their teams. Now, the quest for optimized security operations, as a security practitioner myself, I would love the single pane of glass where I have data coming from different tools on single screen where I can use the data to carry out my investigations. But the problem with that is we have a single glass of pane. The reason is you have different data, the data being cluttered, as well as different tools in organization to operate, move between the consoles, get the data, and extract the data, correlate the data, and link the data. Now, till now, we have talked about how organizations are taking their defense into place. Let's talk about from the adversary side of things. So the recent study conducted a test of 10 ransomware families. They wanted to see how these ransomware families are going to encrypt the data once they infect the system. So they have taken like different ransomware families like Logbit, Reveal, and different other ones. And once they have tested them, like filling up Windows operating systems on 4 machines, it took them 6 minutes to encrypt the data of 53 GB of data in the environment. Any guesses which ransomware family it is? It's Logbit. Logbit is a ransomware family which encrypted 53 GB of data within the environment. And this kind of makes me think as a security practitioner, what chance do I have against these threat actors? And some of the goals, right? So when you have adversaries like this, what are our security operation goals? Of course, reducing mean time to detect and respond. This was the most challenging one that I had to face when I was a security practitioner back then, where I have to talk to security teams, understanding where is my data? How do I get access to the data? What is the data do I need in my incident investigation? Now, reducing total cost of ownership, you do not want another tool to come on top of 10 other tools just to make you feel better that this tool is going to save me. It's always about people, process, technology approach, how that tool is going to fit within your environment. Improving performance and scale. So as organizations scale up, increase their employee size, you need to understand the tools that you have also have to match up to that. When you don't have that, you'll have security teams scratching their head and thinking about how is this tool going to affect me if I scale up. Now, improving security operations efficiency, we also have an issue of burnout apart from skill shortage in cybersecurity. So how are we managing that from a security team's perspective? Now, today's SOC challenges, when you look broadly, cybersecurity is a data management problem because you have data across different silos. You have EDR, which has its own database. You have SIEM, which has its own database. You have security teams trying to understand where should I get the data from. And as part of my security practitioner rule, I had to cater to the security operations team as well as the compliance team, because you have audit teams coming after you asking which data is relevant to the audit. So when you look at, you also have data retention requirements, which is basically have to sync with your records retention policy. There are certain legal and regulatory requirements which requires you to keep it for 7 years, 180 days, or 1 year. So when you have challenges as well as data being spread out in silos, the SOC team, it makes more difficult for SOC team to gather the data and respond effectively. Now look at understanding the incident, right? The workflow of incident investigation. The previous slide talked about peri-incident as well as pre-incident as well as post-incident. So before the incident, it's always your preparation. What is your incident response plan? How are your team members being communicated within when an incident happens? How is your incident response plan being catered to your SOC teams as well as your executives? But when you look at workflow investigation, it starts with data collection, triage, as well as talking about prioritization, scope, and responding. Now, the crux of the session, understanding where AI and automation plays a role, understanding where you can get more automation, where you can get AI deployed, and also use human intellect, because that is the essence of the whole program as well. You need to have leaders and security teams understand where we can deploy automation as well as AI to get the maximum benefit. So if we broadly look at the slide here, data collection is the place where you can automate tasks. This could be something like deriving value from your security analytics as such. And triage, prioritize, and scope, this is where AI comes into picture. The reason is you have to gather data from different sources, link it together, merge, and understand where is the incident happening, right? From event to incident, more like a storyboard kind of thing. And then understanding response. So where can we deploy or where can we improve our processes to get the holistic picture of the security investigation? Do we have to improve from a process side, from a tool side, or do we have inefficiencies in terms of handling automating tasks, or do we have inefficiencies or more time spent in deploying AI? Now, let's examine some of the benefits of human and machine teaming. So as you can see, it's triage, integrated response, and staff efficiencies. So if I take a simple example of signal to noise ratio, to get a better signal to noise ratio, you need to have end-to-end tool-tight integration so that you do not have overlap of information coming from different security tools. You have a holistic picture of your environment as such, and you're taking into note all the relevant aspects of your security incident investigation. So when I talk about incident investigation specifically, the data, where is the data? How can I get access to the data? What data do I need? what data do I need for this particular security incident? And every incident will have different mean time to respond, mean time to detect. So are we deploying tools to detect? Are we deploying tools to respond? So when you have an answer of like what is your detection mechanism in your organization, you would be able to answer how much is your mean time to detect. Now, the next question is looking at the NIST cycle, right? NIST incident life cycle, right from identify to recover, identify, detect, prevent, as well as respond and recover. Which of the areas do you need improvement from? So can you automate any of these tasks, starting with routine tasks being automated and leaving the critical tasks to the staff who are available? It can also answer the question of the skill shortage as well as the burnout. Now, looking at like how AI can help security operations team. So till now, you have seen artificial intelligence as such. So even in artificial intelligence, you have different things such as machine learning as well as generative AI. And in the recent times, there has been a lot of discussion about generative AI. How can it be deployed? And SentinelOne has launched Purple AI, which is focused on generative AI. So looking at three of the use cases or three challenges that generative AI can answer for security operations is starting with, let's say your security operations team have to skim to a lot of data. And they have to obtain a summary of data from different sources. This is where GenAI can play a greater role in understanding what is the threat data that is across the platform or across your environment and provide you with an automated threat summary so that the SOC analyst can respond and recover. Now, security teams also face this issue of like they want to do threat hunting, but they have limited budget and limited resources. GenAI again comes into picture. Our Purple AI basically comes up with like quick starts and also like addressing skill shortage issue. When you use Purple AI, it's basically your threat response and analysis. And when you write queries in natural language, run commands in natural language, it spits out threat summaries, which can help the SOC teams. Now, as I said from the initial and the start, threat response. So as you look, cybersecurity is a data management problem, right? So when you look at security analysts trying to go between different consoles and collect the data, how are they collecting data? Are you getting a unified experience? Are these SOC analysts or the security teams have less learning curve with the tool? Because that is also important, right? You don't want a tool where the SOC analysts are spending so much time with the support to understand the tool. You should have a unified console, easy learning for security analysts, so they can use the time to actual threat investigation as well as incident response. And this is an example of telemetry for SOC teams for your better understanding in terms of like how data is being gathered from endpoint, email, SIEM, your network, firewall, as well as cloud and identity. So every alert is not an incident. An alert has to be preliminary scoped to understand how it results in an incident. What is the informational impact of this incident? What is the recoverability of this incident? What is the functional impact of the incident, right? So when you talk about business impact, it's more about which function of the business is getting impacted, which information is being disclosed as part of this incident. So it could be based on your CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So which part of this is getting hit? So you have trillions of data that comes to security teams from different sources, including endpoint till like identity. And then millions of this data have to be enriched, understood by security teams, which really makes from alerts to incidents. And then when is the incident result, security teams have to handle these incidents timely to understand what is the impact on the organization. In the recent times, we have seen simple attacks like social engineering making their way into bigger organizations. So which of this is more important to you from your risk register perspective? Approaching security from people, process, and technology, which of them have higher impact for you as an organization? There could not be any solution or tool which would fit for all your issues or challenges that you have in your environment. One organization might have legacy infrastructure where segmentation is a better thing to do. one organization have endpoints issue where the EDR is the best solution to have. So overall, how are you gathering this data? Are you getting this data timely for the SOC teams to react and respond? Are you getting this data with greater automation and AI built in? Now, the key takeaways, this is the last slide of mine. Understanding attacker mindset. So as I said, the foundational or the understanding of SOC teams metrics is a bit outdated right now because SOC teams are measured on how many alerts they close on a daily basis. But we have to make that mental model shift in understanding how many incidents have been stopped instead of looking at how many alerts have been closed by the team. I think that is the mental model shift we need the SOC teams to adhere to and take it going forward. And now understanding efficiency, utilizing automation and AI, as I've shown in the earlier slides, automating tasks so that you leave the critical tasks for your SOC teams and simple tasks like getting your security analytics done, your dashboard being done, and also having that holistic view of what is happening within your environment. I think as a security practitioner myself also, I struggled myself to understand where exactly the data is being hosted, being located when an incident happens. Because as if your organization is operating globally, you also have different teams that you need to talk to, right? And that's one part of it. And if you're a security leader, there's another layer to it, which is basically communicating all this data to business level. So how well are you transitioning this data from the security teams to your senior management, your board of directors, and also the SEC rules for cybersecurity, which came into effect July 2023, require you to focus on three areas, which is governance, cyber risk management, and cyber incident reporting. The cyber incident reporting piece is going to play a big role going forward from 2023 December to next year's. The reason is the incident reporting specifically calls out public companies to report any material cybersecurity incidents within 4 days to the SEC, which affects your stakeholders, your investors, if you're a public company. So that's going to go into play. And we are seeing already the measures SEC is taking up for certain organizations where they have a change in materiality of the organization. Now, increasing incident response. This is going to play a greater role as we see more regulations coming into picture. The reason is incident preparedness is not limited to just your SOC teams. You also have your executive team who need to be prepared on how to react when an incident happens. What do you need to talk to press about how much information can be disclosed and what information can be conveyed to SEC in terms of regulatory requirements? And keep doing that tabletop exercises, looking at your incident response plan, understanding where your data lies in your organization, which tools are effective in taking a detective, preventive, and corrective approach in your organization. Now, the last one, this is going to be even more effective in the at least next 2-3 years and more as we go forward. The reason is we are seeing a lot of business email campaigns, AI-powered ones, phishing campaigns that are coming into picture. How are you strengthening your cyber defenses across your environment? And also understanding how AI can help you build those defenses against these threat actors. That is another important piece that is going to come into picture. And also understanding how can you automate some of these processes. I think the major responsibility lies in understanding your processes well and the tools well so that you can automate the tasks as needed, as well as deploy AI as required for your environment, and always taking a people, process, and technology approach instead of trying to buy a tool and trying to see like if it can cover all of your environment or not. Because as a security practitioner before as well, I have been in a situation where there was legacy infrastructure. You can't really do anything about it apart from like, diffusing all of this legacy infrastructure. But there are other methods such as segmentation. So understanding and taking that approach is quite important as a security leader, as a security practitioner. So that is the end of the session. And we have SentinelOne, which is a Gartner leader. And then we also have MITRE results. We have almost like 3 years. We have continuous analytic coverage, 3 years running. and also on the Gartner Peer Insights. For those of you who are interested in understanding generative AI, how generative AI can help security teams, do check out Purple AI of us at the booth at Sentinel One. And people who are interested in AI-powered malware, do check out our blog from Sentinel One Labs on Black Mamba, which is a quite interesting one as well. And thank you so much for your time, for attending the session today. Do let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.